Ford Edsel, the car that became the synonym for failure. Close your eyes for a moment. It's September 4th, 1957. After 3 years of secret development and $250 million invested, Ford Motor Company is about to unveil the car that will change everything. The advertising campaign has been massive, mysterious teases, dramatic reveals, promises of revolutionary design. America is holding its breath. The Edsel arrives. Named after Henry Ford's only son, positioned between Ford and Mercury in the lineup, with a horse-collar grille that looks ... different, very different. And that vertical gear selector in the center of the steering wheel. What happens next becomes the most famous marketing disaster in automotive history. This isn't just about a car that didn't sell well. This is about how a corporate giant misread an entire nation, about how hype can become a trap, about how Edsel entered the English language as a word meaning spectacular failure, and yet there's a community that loves this car today, passionately. I want you to understand the scale of Ford's ambition. In the mid-1950s, the American middle class was expanding. Families wanted something between the basic Ford and the luxurious Mercury. Ford saw a gap. They researched for 3 years, conducted extensive market studies, tested names with focus groups. They were certain they had a winner. The development was unprecedented. A whole new division within Ford, new factories, new dealerships. The e-car project was the most expensive new car launch in history to that point. They planned to sell 200,000 Edsels in the first year. The stage was set for triumph. Have you ever been part of a project that had everything going for it ... except the final result? Share your experience in the comments. Now, feel the tension building. Launch day arrives. The press gets their first look. The public sees the cars in showrooms. And the reaction is ... confusion. The horse-collar grille, some say it looks like a toilet seat. Others compare it to a woman's. Well, let's just say the comparisons weren't flattering. The vertical teletouch gear selector in the steering wheel confuses drivers. Worst timing. The 1958 recession hits just as Edsels reach dealerships. Suddenly, mid-priced cars seem like extravagances. Quality issues emerge. Cars arrive with parts missing, paint flaws, mechanical problems. The perfect storm of bad design, bad timing, and bad execution. Can you think of another product that suffered from terrible timing? Name it below. Let me tell you about the numbers because they're staggering. Ford expected to sell 200,000 Edsels in 1958. They sold 63,110. In 1959, 44,891. In 1960, with a redesigned, less controversial look, 2,846. Total production, 110,847 cars over 3 model years. Ford lost approximately $350 million, about $3 billion in today's money. The human cost was immense. Dealers who had invested their life savings in Edsel franchises lost everything. Factory workers faced layoffs. The Ford executives who championed the project saw their careers end, and Edsel became a punchline. A synonym for failure. A cautionary tale taught in business schools to this day. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The Edsel didn't disappear. Instead, it developed one of the most passionate cult followings in automotive history. Not despite being a failure because it was a failure, because it represented something brave, even if misguided. I want you to meet the Edsel owners and collectors, the people who see beyond the jokes, who appreciate what Ford was trying to do, who recognize the innovative features, the self-adjusting brakes, the warning lights for low fuel and oil, the push-button transmission. In some models, they form clubs. They hold national meets. They meticulously restore these cars that everyone else laughed at. One collector in Michigan owns 17 Edsels. He can tell you the difference between every model year, every trim level. Another in Texas organizes an annual Edsel Memorial Cruise where dozens of these cars drive together, turning heads, sparking conversations. Do you know someone who loves something that everyone else considers a joke? Tell us about them in the comments. The modern appreciation for the Edsel is fascinating. Car shows that once wouldn't allow Edsels now feature them prominently. YouTube channels dedicated to Edsel restoration have thousands of subscribers. The failure has been redeemed by time and perspective. What other failed products do you think deserve a second look? Share your nominations below. But I need you to understand the deeper lessons here. The Edsel story isn't really about a car. It's about corporate hubris. About how even the most extensive market research can't guarantee success. About how timing can destroy even the best laid plans. About how public perception, once formed, is almost impossible to change. Ford did everything right by 1950s business standards. They researched, they invested, they marketed aggressively, and they failed spectacularly. This challenges the very notion of what right means in business. When have you seen conventional wisdom lead to disaster? Share your example. The Edsel also teaches us about American culture in the late 1950s. This was the era of tail fins, chrome, and exuberance. The Edsel was perhaps the most extreme expression of that aesthetic. When taste suddenly shifted toward simplicity and practicality, the Edsel was left behind, a relic of an ending era. Today, when you see an Edsel, whether at a car show, in a museum, or occasionally on the road, you're not just looking at a failed car. You're looking at a moment in time. At corporate ambition meeting cultural shift. At the danger of believing your own hype. At the resilience of objects and people that survive ridicule. The Edsel represents something profoundly human, the courage to try something bold, even if it fails. The willingness to be different, even if different isn't appreciated. And the community that forms around preserving what others discarded. Now, I need your memories and perspectives. Have you ever seen an Edsel in person? Ridden in one? Do you remember when Edsel became a synonym for failure? What does this car represent to you? Cautionary tale, misunderstood innovation, or something else entirely? Scroll down. Share your story. Connect with other automotive enthusiasts. Because the Edsel story continues through every person who looks at that distinctive grille and sees more than a failed car. Sees ambition. Sees a moment in history. Sees the complex relationship between innovation and acceptance. End road. This has been Automotive Legacy Stories. Your memories and perspectives keep these automotive legends alive. Comment below, what's your Edsel story?